Hello and welcome to video 2. This video provides a brief recap about the study and addresses comments left by a small number of participants at the end of the round 1 survey regarding interpretation of the survey question and the scope of the core outcome set. The overall aim of the COrSIcA study is to determine what outcomes should be included in a core outcome set for use in future late phase anal HL treatment trials of any treatment and in any person with the condition. Just to refresh on the terminology around this, a core outcome set comprises a list of treatment effects referred to as outcomes that have been deemed most important to measure and therefore should be measured and reported in all clinical trials or studies investigating treatments for a particular health condition. From the perspective of COrSIcA, we aim to determine which outcomes are most important to measure in late phase trials for the condition. That is, trials that typically compare one treatment against one or more alternative treatments to determine which one is best and or is most safe. For the condition of interest, we use the term anal high-grade squamous intraepithelial lesion, or anal HSIL, which is the high-grade subtype of anal intraepithelial neoplasia, or AIN, also known as high-grade AIN or H-gain. In terms of impact of the study, utilization of the core outcome set in future treatment trials will help ensure that the most important effects of treatments are measured and reported consistently. The impact being that future trials will provide information about treatments that is meaningful to the people affected by the condition and which allows for comparison of different studies to help determine whether one treatment is better than another. As for the scope of the core outcome set, the outcomes included in the final core outcome set are intended to be applicable to all future late phase trials for anal HSIL, irrespective of the treatment, location of disease, extent of disease, and population being evaluated. In short, the outcomes in the core outcome set should be able to be measured across trials involving different treatments, participants with different extents of disease, differing location of disease, that is, whether that's perianal or canal disease alone, or disease of both areas, and in trials of populations with potentially differing priorities. That said, some outcomes you were asked to rate in round 1 are specific to certain treatments or subgroups of the population. For instance, resection margin involvement being relevant only to interventions involving surgical excision of disease. HIV response and CD4 T-cell response apply only to people living with HIV. Symptom resolution applies only to individuals experiencing symptoms of the condition, and vaginal infection typically applies to women or trans women with a vagina. These outcomes cannot be relevant to all future late phase trials if a study does not involve that specific treatment or population group. When rating the importance of these outcomes, please consider their importance from the perspective of all future late phase trials involving that specific treatment or population group. If an outcome specific to a particular treatment or population group meets the threshold for inclusion in the core outcome set, it would only be expected to be measured in future studies involving the corresponding treatment or population group. Outcomes specific to a particular treatment or group of participants are specified at the start of each question. If you consider any of the other outcomes in the survey as being applicable only to a particular treatment, disease extent, disease location, or population group, i.e. they're not applicable to all future late phase trials for anal HSIL, irrespective of treatment, disease extent, location of disease, or population being evaluated, then you should rate these as unimportant for inclusion in the final core outcome set. All outcomes reaching criteria for inclusion in the core outcome set will be cross-checked against the scope of the core outcome set at the consensus meeting to ensure applicability. To clarify interpretation of the survey question, in round 1, you were asked to rate each outcome on a scale of 1 to 9 based on how important you considered it for inclusion in a core outcome set for future late phase anal HL treatment trials, and therefore it be measured in all future trials. Here, importance relates to the importance for inclusion in the core outcome set. for late phase treatment trials. The significance of which being that the outcome should be measured in all future late phase treatment trials for anal HSIL. As late phase trials are designed to determine whether one treatment is better and or is safer than others, another way to consider this question is to ask, well, how important do you think it is that this outcome be measured and reported in all future trials that aim to determine whether one treatment for anal HSIL is better or safer than another? In terms of answering the questions, again, in terms of being unable to answer a question, after considering the outcome and its description, if you feel you can't answer, just click Unable to Score. And this concludes the information required to participate in round 2 of the Delphi survey. If you're clear on the objective of the study, then please continue to the bottom of the page and click the arrow button to proceed to the survey. If you need any further support or you have any questions about the survey at any point, then please contact myself via the email address at the bottom of this page. And once again, thank you for participating in the study, and I really look forward to your response to this round 2 survey. Thank you.